for his career, 4th most among active coaches in the Football Bowl subdivision.
He's one of those coaches that doesn't carry a play sheet. That play sheet's in his head. It's going to be fun to watch it unfold today.
The opening kickoff to Deion Jackson from the 3. Jackson to the 20. Bit of a seam and bouncing outside is Jackson. And he's past the 45 up near midfield on the return. Time to check out our food line. Impact players. We'll start with Duke.
Yeah, Jonathan Lloyd having an outstanding career, but having a good year. Had a nice day against Georgia Tech a year ago. Jonathan Lloyd, one of their leaders in that wide receiver corps. You'll see 3 receivers today. Brant Mitchell, outstanding linebacker. Now trying to learn a new defensive system. 3-4 system. We'll see Brant Mitchell roaming the middle. He's their play caller defensively.
46 yards on that return by Deion Jackson. Up to the 48-yard line for Duke. He is the back to the left of Daniel Jones, the junior quarterback from Charlotte, North Carolina. Passes on first down and could have enough for the first down at the 41 of Georgia Tech. They've got 11 to Chris Taylor, and it's a first down for Duke.
Boy, nice job by Daniel Jones to stand in. Deion Jackson got to pick up the blitz right there. That was our food line impact player, Brant Mitchell, coming right through the middle, but a nice job by Jones to stand in and make a good throw.
Mitchell, the leading tackler on this team with 26 to lead the way for Georgia Tech defensively. Jones will roll and throw. His pass is complete near the 30. Daniel Helm, the tight end, just about to the 30-yard line of Georgia Tech, and Mitchell on the stop.
Now, part of what Daniel Jones doesn't get from what people don't talk enough about is his dual threat ability. Nice job there on the bootleg to get the ball out. Another first down.
From just beyond the Georgia Tech 30, opening possession for Duke. A wide open man. It's caught by Helm. And he's down near the 12.
Got a stacked look to Daniel Jones right. Georgia Tech going to try to zone it off. One player does not get in the area he's supposed to be. Excellent job by Jones to sort it out, find the open man. And a good tempo right now for Duke offensively. 3 consecutive first downs.
19 yards on that previous play for the Blue Devils. They're going to run it to the right side toward the end zone and in. It's Deion Jackson for Duke. He got it started with the kickoff return, and he finishes the drive for the Blue Devils.
Never saw a second down in the series, Tom. 4 plays, first down plays into the end zone, and Jackson hammers it in. This is the zone read play. Runs through the tackle right there of St. Amour. Little stiff arm at the end, and Jackson's in the end zone. That's his 5th rushing touchdown of the year.
Impressive opening drive for the Blue Devils, who had great field position after the 46-yard kickoff return from Deion Jackson. He's got the TD, and Colin Wareham has the extra point.
Well, Duke knew they needed to come in and set the tempo. How about driving it down and shoving it into the end zone? Coach Cutcliffe pretty excited.
Time homecoming. Georgia Tech 53-15-1, and they've won 5 straight on homecoming here in Atlanta, Georgia. Jarrett and Thomas are the deep men to receive the kickoff. 4 plays, 4 first downs, and a touchdown for Duke on its first possession. Straddling the goal line, here comes Thomas. He gets chopped down near the 20-yard line. Well, we take a look at the 1930 Ford Model A Sport Coupe, all polished up and ready to go for our Carolina Ford dealers. Keys to the game with Dave Archer.
Well, Duke looking for explosive plays. He talked to David Cutcliffe, and he says that's the thing he's gleaned this year. He needs to find ways to get explosives. They're going to look to try to, obviously, what they did in that opening drive, explosive plays right down the field to put points on the board. And for Georgia Tech, they want to control the front 7 and find a way to get this ground attack rolling. That keeps them on the field and keeps Daniel Jones, that Duke offense, on the sideline.
Georgia Tech scored 66 points in a road victory last Friday at Louisville, 66-31. Marshall swallowed up by Chris Rump and some fellow Duke teammates. It's a sack and a loss of 9.
Well, this is just not something that Georgia Tech does very well, is pass protect. Over here on this right side, going to come off the edge. Actually, it was a second layout guy, second level guy. Came off the second level, just did not pick up the blitz. Got a new man starting at right tackle in Ivy Meyer. That's normally Andrew Marshall, but injury has forced Daly Ivermeyer to start at that right tackle position, and they got mixed up on protection on first down.
Remember, Georgia Tech has only attempted 17 passes in its last 3 games and only 2 against Louisville in its most recent game as Cottrell had the run. All right, more of the Food Line Impact players. We go to the Georgia Tech side of the ball.
Now, Quay Searcy is one of the guys, just one of the guys going to make plays on the edge. He's averaging 11.8 yards a carry. Done an outstanding job. Had a big day against Louisville, 2 touchdowns. And then, of course, on the defensive side, an NFL player. Joe Giles Harris going to play at the next level. Big linebacker in the middle. Had a big day against Georgia Tech. 14 tackles a year ago.
6'2", 240 pounds and a junior from Nyack, New York. He and Ben Humphrey, the backbone of this defensive unit for the Blue Devils. Ends start to bend a little bit. Marshall escapes and gets back up near the 20-yard line.
Well, Tom, it's so key for Georgia Tech to be able to stay in front of the chains, and because of the first play, just don't do a very good job of putting themselves in good manageable down and distance situations. Let's see what Taquan Marshall trying to look at. Obviously covered here, covered at the top, covered down here. No place for Taquan to throw the ball, so going to pull it down and try to create like he normally does. But just no way to get that much yardage back after the negative first down play.
TJ Ramming will receive the punt from Presley Harvin III, who did not punt at all against Louisville last Friday. This will take a Georgia Tech roll just inside the 30-yard line of Duke. The punt is 51 yards for the Yellow Jackets. And Taquan Marshall walking very gingerly on that sideline for Georgia Tech.
That would mean Tobias Oliver would start getting loose, the redshirt freshman who's filled in very well for Taquan Marshall, but he's going to go in the tent. Have to take a look.
Well, both Marshall and Oliver ran for over 100 yards against Louisville in that victory last Friday. Marshall for 175 yards, and Oliver, the backup quarterback, 8 carries, 103 yards, and a couple of rushing touchdowns as he came off the bench in the 3rd quarter. 1st and 10 for the Blue Devils. All they know is first down so far in this game. And they may have another one, although a couple of penalty markers are out. The pass was complete to Chris Taylor, but again, flags on the field after 12 yards on the play.
Eligible man downfield in the past.
A nosy receiver downfield, often number 65. 5-yard penalty, your first down.
You know, it's such a tenuous situation for the O-line because they want to show run if you make a play fake, and then but you still got to stay back, and did not do that up front with Santos. One of their veteran offensive linemen got too far downfield.
Dave Duke has only been penalized for about 32.5 yards all season, and that ball's now on the turf. So they had the penalty on first down. Deion Jackson able to fall on it, but this second series, the complete opposite of the first series.
Let's look at it. This is the run action RPO, and it's like any option type situation. It's when you're going to pull it out or hand it off. There's an indecision moment there, and the quarterback's got to be very definitive of what he's doing.
Fewest penalty yards of any team in the ACC for Duke. They're going to run it here with Jackson. Stutter step move at the 25, and then bounces beyond the 30.
Deion Jackson came in as their second leading rusher. Britton Brown had carried the load, the sophomore, redshirt sophomore, but Deion Jackson, the true sophomore, from just down the road as well. A lot of Georgia players, Pace Academy for Deion Jackson, just down the road here in Atlanta.
3rd down for Duke, 36% on the season, 11th in the conference, but this time they come through. Beyond the 40, it's Aaron Young hauling it in from Daniel Jones at 11 yards.
Aaron Young going to push off. Let's see how far he gets. He does. He gets the defensive back's hips turned. That's the key when you're running the comeback of the curl route. Can you get the hips of the corner to turn and run out of there, which is exactly what Aaron Young did. Nice throw by Daniel Jones. Good timing between receiver and quarterback.
Daniel Jones to Aaron Young, a clutch combination on 3rd down. And now from their own 42, it's Jones back to the air. He's going to hit Young, makes a move, 45-yard line, and knocked to the turf shy of midfield by David Curry, the junior. And Curry will remain down and shaken up. It was a 6-yard play.
David Curry, the son of Buddy Curry, played linebacker here with the Atlanta Falcons, played at North Carolina, and it looks like a helmet-to-helmet type situation there for Curry. He immediately knew there was something wrong. You see the helmets kind of collide right there. He stuck his hand in the air almost right away, realizing he was see that hand come up. He knew he maybe a stinger in that left shoulder. Curry is a guy that Nate Woody, the defensive coordinator, pointed out by name, said he's really come on, really was excited about how he's fit in to this new 34 defense.
David Curry, who missed all of last season with a foot injury, and had a 15-yard touchdown return against Alcorn State at the beginning of the season. Daniel Jones crosses the 50 into Georgia Tech territory. Malik Rivera, the senior transfer from Wofford, makes the tackle after 3 yards.
Well, Daniel Jones missed some time earlier in the year, Tom, and we saw Quentin Harris, who played really well at quarterback. He had a collarbone injury, and he had, you know, it's hard to come back from that. You injure his shoulder. This guy's a tough guy. I think that his ability to run the football is part of the undersold part of who he is, and we'll see it a lot today.
Jones to throw on 3rd and short. Down near the 15, couple of players getting tangled up. There are no flags on the play. Scott Bracey was the intended receiver. Lamont Simmons was back there with Bracey, number 6 for Georgia Tech. That's going to bring up 4th down. Duke on 4th and 1. Offense still out there. 7 of 16 on the season on 4th down. They get stopped right at the 50. Deion Jackson dropped for a loss. And the ball's going to Georgia Tech on downs.
Boy, excellent job to swell up in the middle. Brandon Adams and Kyle Surge Henderson. 2 gigantic guys on the interior. Watch for 90 and 54 to show up. Split the double team. Does Surge Henderson. Brandon Adams coming from the other side. Going to blow the play up. And a big stop when they needed it the most for Georgia Tech.
So the Jackets turn back the Devils. And now from the 49 of Duke, it is 1st and 10. Excellent field position for Taquan Marshall, the senior from Hamilton, Georgia. They'll try to go right up the middle to about the 46-yard line. That'll be Jerry Howard.
The bread and butter now for Georgia Tech is going to be the B-back, which is that fullback that's going to be a featured part of virtually every one of the triple option type plays.
Here's our 1st and 10 line, brought to you by Lending Tree, official loan shopping partner of the ACC, on 2nd and 6 for Georgia Tech. 3 and 3 on the season, 2 and 1 here at Bobby Dodd Stadium. It's going to be Howard again as we go down and check in with Larisha Harris.
Well, when we spoke to head coach Paul Johnson, we asked him about Taquan Marshall and his development, and he told us that he really has grown in the last few weeks, basically telling him to relax, let it come to you. He talked to him about what you can control, and we even heard that Coach Paul Johnson was the reason why he stayed off social media a little bit, to basically focus on him and not worry about the last 2 weeks. Remember to focus and relax.
So many people out there telling you how to do your job in football, whether it's pro or college. You got to forget about that and just go play the way coach wants you to play.
Georgia Tech 44% on 3rd down, 3rd in the ACC. But there's a swarm right there at the 42-yard line. They lost one. Clinton Lynch was running.
Yeah, good job by Dylan Singleton, number 16. The corner, the safety's going to come up and cut this play off. And then good pursuit from the inside by Terrell Lucas. And they force Georgia Tech into 4th down, and this is a no-brainer for Paul Johnson. He's going to keep his offense on the field. Excellent perimeter defense by Duke.
4th and 2. The Georgia Tech D just turned back Duke on 4th down. 6 of 11 on the season. In this situation, needed to get to the 39. It does not appear so. Jerry Howard going to be stopped short.
Excellent gang tackling in the middle by the Blue Devils, and they've held Georgia Tech short of the 1st down.
So the Georgia Tech defense did it to Duke on 4th down, and now the favorite returned by the Blue Devils.
How do you stop this Georgia Tech attack? You got to get the B-back first. The Blue Devils took care of that.
Giveaway. December 1st, Charlotte, North Carolina, the site. The ACC championship game. 4 yards on the play. Deion Jackson running into Charlie Thomas.
I'm impressed with Deion Jackson, Tom, the way he's run the ball. Came in averaging 4.5 yards a carry, and he's carrying the load right now in the run game.
Daniel Jones 6 for 6 so far in the game after that previous pass play. This should be a first down by Deion Jackson into Georgia Tech territory, marked at the 48 after an 8-yard carry from Jackson, the sophomore, from right here in Atlanta, Georgia.
A little hesitation right here. Got some good blocking in front of him and was able to power through. Looked like Daniel Helm, the tight end, was kind of the featured part of that second level blocking, but good job being patient, shoving it in there for a first down.
Last game for Duke was September 29th, a loss at home against Virginia Tech, 31-14. Jones has another target near the 30-yard line, and Chris Taylor, and another first down to the 28 of Georgia Tech as Rivera made the tackle.
Yeah, you hear about RPO, run pass option. They fake the run, throw behind it. Linebackers step in to take away the run game. You have success running the ball, you can find those receivers single covered on the outside.
Half the plays have resulted in a first down. That one was deflected.
Boy, you really believe in yourself trying to shove that one in there. Charlie Thomas almost picked that off, the linebacker. How about how tight the coverage is? There's nobody to control the linebacker underneath him, so he can continue to sink. But Daniel Jones feels so good about the way he's throwing it, and he almost did fit it in there to Chris Taylor along the sideline.
First incompletion of this quarter for Daniel Jones. Hand it off to Jackson. Meander his way toward the 25-yard line for 4 yards as Quez Jackson making the tackle.
Now, Quez Jackson's in the game because David Curry left the game when it looked like maybe a head injury, so Curry has not returned. So Quez Jackson, the freshman, is in there starting, or in there playing now, number 44.
Told you Duke is near the bottom of the conference in third down conversions, just 36% this season, 11th.
Georgia Tech has not been very good on defense.
Jones trying to buy some time, got by one man, and then got sandwiched near the 18-yard line. Henry St. Amour trying to run him down 7 yards for a gutsy Daniel Jones.
Well, Caleb Oliver, number 40, is going to have a chance to make the tackle here. He's going to come up flash to Daniel Jones outside. He overruns the play. And then Jones gets a little help from Henry St. Amour. Kind of pushes him for the first down.
2 for 3 now on third down for Duke in this game as Jones is able to run for that first down from the 18 of Georgia Tech. Pressure knocked away from Jones. Pressure came from the edge by Trey Swilling, and Georgia Tech has got the football.
Tom, just poor recognition by Daniel Jones to not see the corner fire. They showed it pretty early. Trey Swilling, the redshirt freshman, is going to come off his left side and create the opportunity to get the ball on the ground. And Kyle Surge Henderson comes up with it. Coming off that left side, you have to be able to recognize that. He didn't get it done.
Loss of 6 on that play. The Yellow Jackets have the ball, and we'll be back after a word from your local ACC station.
Stay tuned to get a free umbrella with new.
Good idea, first and everything.
And first and 10 for Georgia Tech after only the 4th turnover of the season for Duke. Marshall goes down with a 3-yard loss as Drew Jordan finds him.
Well, how do you take away Taquan Marshall, take away his opportunity to get to the perimeter? Excellent job by Drew Jordan. He had the quarterback on the play, took him away, and Taquan Marshall couldn't pitch it because Duke had that taken care of as well. Look at the total plays. Georgia Tech, that's something they normally own. They own the play clock and the plays run. Duke owns it right now.
Marshall pitches it. Searcy. And Searcy spins out of bounds near the 35-yard line. Tackled by Marquise Waters, and he got 12.
Boy, nice job by Taquan Marshall now to hold on to this to the last moment. Taquan Marshall's not a big guy, Tom. 5'10", about 190 pounds. And boy, he takes a beating and took a shot there to get that ball out to Quay Searcy. Now, this is normally the be-back or a follow play by the quarterback.
Georgia Tech yet to convert. Third down of this game as we play in the first quarter. 3rd and short for the Jackets. Trailing Duke 7-0. Contact at the 35. The spot, though, is out near the 36 and might be enough as Jordan Mason had the carry for Georgia Tech. And the indication is first down for the Yellow Jackets.
Little counter, turn around, hand the ball off, and a good job by Mason. Just barely found enough room in there. The freshman linebacker Rumpf and Joe Giles Harris in to make the play. But Duke making it tough sledding right now in that interior with their B-back.
All rushes so far. Ground game, full effect for Georgia Tech. Another pitch out to Searcy. And he goes beyond the 40-yard line as we go back to Charlotte for Katie and Tommy.
Well, this studio update is presented by Hardee's. Try an all-star meal. Hunter Long's first catch of the game was a nice one.
Run action fake to Ben Glines. Anthony Brown, 26-yard touchdown pass.
BC up 7-0 early on Louisville. Guys, back to you.
How about Ben Glines, the receiver, playing running back? Dylan hurt, so Glines has slid into that spot. And boy, they respect him. Bid on that play action fake.
Dylan had 272 yards rushing last year, a game we did right here on Raycom Sports. Lynch makes a move near the 40-yard line. Singleton with a tackle, 19 yards on the run for Lynch.
Clinton Lynch has had an amazing career. This is his 42nd game as a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket. He averages in his career 13 yards a touch. And here's another big run for him as he pushes it inside Duke territory.
Clinton Lynch, the only player in school history with over 1,000 yards rushing and over 1,000 receiving. Marshall cuts it back toward the middle and inside the 40. Only a yard. Update on David Curry with Larisha on the sidelines.
Hey guys, so I spoke with the officials for Georgia Tech. David Curry, we know he went out earlier during this first quarter. We're told it's an upper body injury and that he's questionable to return. He will be reevaluated at the half. Again, it's an upper body injury and he's questionable to return right now.
Well, what happens there is it forces the true freshman Quez Jackson to play that linebacker spot. So he's going to have to be up to speed right away.
2nd and 9. Jordan Mason diving for the 35-yard line, got 4 on the run. Victor Demukagi on the tackle.
Coach Johnson really probing right now, trying to find something to get going here. There's a lot of different looks he's shown Duke so far, and Duke has done a nice job. Remember, 2 weeks to prepare for this Georgia Tech attack as Duke was off last week after losing 2 weeks ago to Virginia Tech.
Lost 31-14 at home in Durham. First loss of the season for the Blue Devils. 1 for 3 on 3rd down in the game for Georgia Tech. Working down that 35-yard line. Jordan Mason diving for it. Only got a yard, so came up short as Tangelo made the tackle for Duke. Could be the final play of the quarter as the seconds tick off here in the first from Atlanta. So it will be
13 touchdowns, just 1 field goal for this Georgia Tech offense. What a run, Tom. Now, they have been struggling today, but over the last couple of games, look at the numbers, total yards, points. They have blown doors on offense.
On 4th and 3, it appears that Duke might have jumped.
That's what Georgia Tech tries to do now. He starts shifting around, trying to get Duke to jump off.
Offside, high contact, defense, number 54. 5-yard penalty, results in a first down.
Boy, cheap first down here. A little shifting. You see the shadows in the back, the shifting around. That made Duke jump off. So didn't even have to snap the football, and Angelo comes off. Let's look at our first quarter stats here, Tom.
Brought to you by Excedrin, Dave.
Yards on first down. You see Duke 8 yards. Georgia Tech is a yard and a half. Ball out.
On first down, Mason was the ball carrier. Looks like Marshall may have covered it. See 16 in white at the bottom of the pile there with the football, and yes, it is confirmed.
Tom,
Georgia Tech keeps it.
How does Taquan Marshall come up with this ball? Sarah Nord, number 92, the big D tackle, is going to have it laying right in front of him. Look at him dive out, and Taquan Marshall, the quarterback, is able to rip the ball away from the defensive tackle. Heck of an effort.
Opening moments of the second quarter. Marshall pitches it. Mason. Down to the 21-yard line for Jordan Mason, the redshirt freshman. 8 yards on the play.
Taquan Marshall, textbook option play. Watch him threaten the inside shoulder of the defender, makes the defender commit to him. That's Lucas, and then he dishes it to the outside. Get good perimeter blocking on the outside, and Georgia Tech now down to a 3rd and short situation. But Taquan Marshall now looks like he's kind of starting to get into a feel of the game, and that's dangerous now when this quarterback starts feeling it for Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech has won 10 of the last 11 at home against Duke. Trying to convert this on 3rd down. Marshall thinks they have it. Mason on the run. We'll check it in just a moment. Back to our Charlotte studio.
This studio update is presented by Hardee's. Try an all-star meal. BC adding another one, Coach.
Louisville packs in on the goal line. Ben Glines, running back Boston College, bounces it outside for the touchdown.
Eagles now up 14-0.
Tom, another 4th down situation. Georgia Tech short, and Paul Johnson not wasting any time about sending his special teams unit on the field. He's going to keep his offense out there. Now, this is normally Taquan either handing it to the B-back or following the B-back through the hole.
Whistles before the play develops. Georgia Tech 0 for 1 on 4th down, and they call the timeout prior to the play. So we will also step aside. When we come back, it's 4th down for the Yellow Jackets, trying to roll toward that Duke end zone.
There are better-known tractors in the world than Coyote.
We really have a lot of fun for these homecoming festivities. It will be even better for the Georgia Tech fans if they can convert on 4th down. 18 rushes, 60 yards so far on the ground. On 4th down and short, Marshall keeps it.
He didn't get a favorable spot, Tom, by the official coming in from the far side. He's marked him short.
Needed to get to the 18 of Duke. Georgia Tech is 0 for 1 on 4th down in this game as we get another look at it. Very, very close, Dave Archer.
Yeah, I thought he got shoved back. I thought he had the 1st down initially and got pushed back. I'm not so sure about the spot on that one, Tom. I thought that
Paul Johnson might agree with you, Dave. It's going to be a turnover on downs and back to Duke. So that's the 2nd time Georgia Tech has come up empty on 4th and short. They give it back to the Blue Devils.
Boy, Coach Cutt's got to be excited about the way his interior defensive line's playing. You know what? A little bit of a rush job by Taquan Marshall. That's the play they call the follow play. And they're going to take a look at this. Yeah, they're going to take a look at it. See, this is the follow play, meaning Taquan Marshall will follow the B-back in the hole. Well, he kind of rushed the operation a little bit. If he sees a crease, he has that option. But I didn't really see any way to get in there. And a good job by Trayvon McSwain, number 95. Looks like right there, see his push is a little bit further than the spot they necessarily give him. Now the official going to run in from the far sideline. See his legs coming in. I thought, now they may not have gotten this, but I don't think they got a good spot. See, right there, it looks like he's got the 1st down. Then they shove him back short of the 1st down. So I'm not sure you're going to see anything there, though, that's going to turn this over. So I think the spot will stay the same. Tom, we see this every week where you try to review a spot in the interior line play, and I just don't think you're going to see anything that's going to turn that over.
Dave, you must have indisputable video evidence to overturn the call, which on the field is a turnover on downs and back to Duke.
You're going to have to go back a long way to find a team that stopped Georgia Tech on 4th and short twice in the game, let alone a 1.5.
Trey Blake is our referee.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
There's just nothing you could see in there that wasn't going to turn that over.
Okay, Dave, well, back to Duke on the turnover on downs, and it's time for Know Your Score, brought to you by Lending Tree as we go around the ACC.
Yeah, Boston College hammering Louisville again. Louisville got hammered last week. Look at Notre Dame Pitt hosting Pitt. Miami, Virginia, big-time game up there in Charlottesville. Virginia Tech travels to Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina.
We will see North Carolina at the Carrier Dome next week against the Syracuse Orange. Homecoming in Central New York. And Syracuse off this week, and they will take on North Carolina. Our Raycom Sports Game of the Week, that is next week. We get you started with the ACC Blitz, powered by Ram. Started at noon with Tommy and Katie in our Charlotte studios, and then it's the Tar Heels and the Orange for just the 5th all-time meeting between the teams. Aaron Young out toward the sideline, and the reception beyond the 25-yard line.
Using the quick game a little bit. That means the slants and hitches. Daniel Jones just a quick flash fake and then shoots the ball outside to against a soft corner, meaning the corner was backpedaling out.
8 yards on the previous play, 2 for 3 on 3rd down for Duke. Georgia Tech had the ball over 6 minutes on that previous drive. They came up empty, turned back on 4th down. This is Jones escaping the pocket. Collision there at the 30-yard line with Kyle Surge Henderson, but it's enough for a 1st down beyond the 30 for Daniel Jones.
Designed run for Daniel Jones. Just got in behind his big offensive line here. Going to fake the run, play action, and then hesitate, and got just enough for the 1st down. Had 91 yards rushing a year ago against Georgia Tech and a touchdown.
First and 10. Pressure comes quickly, and Jones goes down. Henri Saint-Amour, sack for Georgia Tech.
His 3rd sack on the year. Henri Saint-Amour, when we talked to Paul Johnson, said, give us a guy you feel like's playing at a really high level up front, and he didn't hesitate. He said Henri Saint-Amour has been our guy, kind of the bell cow guy up front. Excellent job of knifing through and creating 2nd and long.
Loss of 9. Jackson the back to the left of Jones in a 4-receiver set. Up past the 30-yard line. Bobo has the catch, and we're down to Larisha.
So I spoke with Saint-Amour this week, and I asked him, is your weekly goal to get a sack every game? He told me yes. He wants to make a huge impact the best he can, and getting as many sacks as he can is a big money thing for him. So as we see, he's already reached his weekly goal.
He's going to need a couple more, Larisha, against Daniel Jones today.
3 for 4 on 3rd down for Duke, and that pass is incomplete to Chris Taylor. So 4th down now for the Blue Devils.
Tom came with that same corner blitz that got the ball out. Trey Swilling coming off that short side. This time Daniel Jones sees it and just makes a poor throw. Didn't get his feet set because he had Taylor available for the 1st down.
Parker will punt. Brad Stewart will receive it.
Well, Coach Cutt won't be happy with that. He really does a good job of tutoring quarterbacks, and that was just poor footwork by Daniel Jones there.
First Duke punt of the game. Stewart at the 15. Gets by 3 Duke players and then is dragged to the turf short of the 25-yard line. 51 yards on the punt. The return is 8 yards as Javon Jackson made the tackle on special teams. That's a whole nother story.
You see the Jackets' first 3 possessions has not turned out the way they want. You see number 53 there, Jahazel Lee in the middle. He's back in the lineup now. They started Kenny Cooper at center, and Jahazel Lee now is checked in at center. Obviously, Paul Johnson not pleased with the way things are going. He's gotten back Jahazel Lee, who started the first 6 games at center.
Over 10 minutes of possession in this game for Georgia Tech as Marshall runs the 20th play from scrimmage, and Georgia Tech, so far they've come up empty. 5 yards on the run from Marshall.
Well, this is a good job of finding, just good job of pressing it, and then steps inside and picks up 5 yards. Really, that's what you're looking for on 1st down, is to find a way to get 5 or 6 yards. Nice job of decision-making by Taquan Marshall to hold on to the ball, and now you're 2nd and 5.
Georgia Tech averages 373 yards as a team on the ground. Best in the conference and best in the nation. The waves of backs keep on coming. Jerry Howard, number 15 on the carry, ran into Drew Jordan.
2 plays and a 1st down. Jahazel Lee back in at center. Not going to give him all the credit, but certainly you were able to control that interior defensive front enough that allowed Jerry Howard to step forward 5 yards for a 1st down. So all of a sudden, Georgia Tech in the last 2 plays looked a little bit like what you want if you're Paul Johnson.
Yeah, noting that Louisville win, Dave, we told you 542 yards on the ground, the most in a game by any team in the Football Bowl subdivision this year. To the air for Marshall, trying to buy some time out near the 30. Big collision. Ben Humphreys brought the heat on the play, and a loss of 3.
Well, excellent job by Duke to cover up, because this is what Georgia Tech tries to do. They lure you to sleep and then take a shot, and Duke did a great job of covering down the field. Hornbuckle does a good job of getting on to Taquan Marshall. And Marshall would have been better served by throwing that ball out of bounds and getting the ball outside the Cottrell for a 4-yard loss. It's their first pass. Only threw 2 passes last week and 1 pass so far today.
Don't need to throw it, Dave, when you run for 542 yards. Although Marshall here is going to be a second straight play for a loss as Marshall gets spun to the turf. Chris Rump, number 96.
Well, Rump's been inserted in the lineup. They normally play 3 safeties, but they're playing 3 linebackers today. Rump is this outstanding athlete, a freshman running the play down from behind. You might ask, why didn't Taquan Marshall pitch the ball there? Josh Blackwell, another freshman, the corner, had taken away the pitch. So 2 freshmen for David Cutcliffe make the play and force Georgia Tech into a very uncomfortable situation now, 3rd and long.
Once again, our destination next Saturday, the Carrier Dome, North Carolina and Syracuse. The visiting team has won all of those matchups. Pressure was coming. Marshall got it away. Howard has it up near the first down marker. Howard fighting for those last few inches, and he may have enough. It's going to be real close.
He's got it, Tom.
He's got the first down.
How about this little play, little trickery here to slip Jerry Howard right through the middle. 15's just going to turn around. Good job at Taquan Marshall. A little bit of acting job there to hold on to the ball. And then good hard running by Howard picks up the first down.
Yellow Jackets convert on 3rd and 16. First down from their own 43. Marshall pitch. Searcy spin, but corkscrews right into the turf. A loss of 1. Ben Humphreys on pursuit. AP Top 25 is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. We've got 3 teams from the conference in the top 25.
Well, NC State and Clemson are on a collision course coming up. Miami, obviously a tough game. They're on the road in Charlottesville today. A tough game for them to go on the road and try to get a win in the Coastal Division. But that Clemson-NC State game looming. Both teams trying to get there undefeated.
Both of those teams off this week. Miami's won the last 3 against Virginia, including at home last year. Marshall gets dragged down near the 40. Chris Rump again, 96 in blue, gray, and black, and a loss of 1.
Now Rump, we talked about Rump is the guy. He's coming off that top edge right here, just runs through. They've turned Rump loose. And the freshman linebacker, he's in the lineup because this is normally a 4-2-5 defense, meaning 2 linebackers and 5 defensive backs. They normally play 3 safeties. They call that group back there the Cheetahs. But they moved one of their safeties off the field and put Rump in on 1st and 2nd down, being Devidens.
Co-defensive coordinators this year for Duke, Ben Albert, Matt Guerreri. 2 of 6 on 3rd down. Long pass. Incomplete near the 30-yard line. Malachi Carter, intended receiver. Josh Blackwell in the secondary in coverage.
A little bit of hand fighting going back and forth between Carter and Blackwell. Let's you be the official. Both guys look back for the ball. I think that's a pretty good no call. Blackwell's gets his room on the field. Really kind of a poor job by Carter not to save enough room for Taquan Marshall to throw the ball to the sideline.
Ramming the deep man. The punt from Presley Harvin bounces at the 15. Ramming, trying to pick it up and get out of his own end zone. Ramming, running for his life, and he gets out of bounds.
Tom, I have no idea why TJ Ramming tried to get this ball. He couldn't see it because of the sun. The sun's in his eyes, and then decides, makes a horrible decision, the senior, to try to make a play with the ball.
A dangerous play for Duke, but it's Ramming escaping trouble. And we'll be back after a word from
today here in Atlanta, Georgia, as Duke leads Georgia Tech 7-0. And a poor play by the seniors, TJ Ramming, trying to field a punt after it hit the ground. Really no reason to go after it, but grabbed it, and somehow, Tom, with the great speed, was able to get it out to the 3.
Georgia Tech dominating in time of possession, but trailing on the scoreboard 7-0 to Duke. That pass behind the intended receiver, Chris Taylor, tried to stretch back for it. Couldn't make the grab off the fingertips of Taylor.
This looks like a quick action throw from Daniel Jones. If that's the case, then Chris Taylor's too deep on the route. He expected him at about 6 yards, and so they misconnect.
Georgia Tech so tough to beat here at Bobby Dodd Stadium. They win 80% of their games. That's 472 wins, but trailing 7-0. Trying to keep Duke deep in its own territory. Jackson on the run. Brant Mitchell makes the tackle.
Our Food Lion impact player defensively for Georgia Tech. Brant Mitchell leads the team in tackles. His 41st game as a Yellow Jacket. Big play right there to force 3rd and long.
Wait for a couple of state championships. The legendary Tennessee high school coach David Meskey at Knoxville Webb High School. 3rd and 8. Just over 5 minutes to go in the quarter. 3 for 5 for Duke on 3rd down.
Right in front of the student section, Tom, making it tough to hear.
Jones near his own goal line. Flips it complete to Jackson. Pulled down at the 10-yard line.
Boy, a nice play by the freshman, Charlie Thomas, the linebacker. Talking about young kids on the field now for Georgia Tech. They're having to step up in big moments. Here's the action right here in the middle. Going to drop the ball off to the back. And a nice open field play. He doesn't make that tackle. It's a 1st down. But a nice job by Charlie Thomas, the freshman from Thomasville, Georgia.
Austin Parker punts about 4 yards deep in his own end zone. Stewart waiting for that punt and backtracking to the 32 for Stewart. Stop cold. 57 yards on the punt by Parker. Just a 2-yard return, and there is some post-whistle activity. Taquan Marshall leads Georgia Tech back on the field, trailing Duke 7-0.
We're looking at one of the best linebackers in the ACC, maybe in the country. Joe Giles Harris, great size, tremendous athlete, played a number of sports in high school. A relentless effort is what the coaches talk about. He just continues to come. And then to top all that off, you got a great athlete with all the size in the world. He loves to study the game. He's a student of the game. He's got all the tools you need. Steel tools of the game.
An All-American last season, Dave. Averages 9 tackles per game in his career, 5th best of any player in the country. Taquan Marshall, 8 carries, -3 yards. He's going to give this one up. Lynch trying to turn that corner, puts the shoulder down at the 40-yard line. He runs into Marquise Waters.
Yeah, they're finding more room to the perimeter, Tom, is what Paul Johnson's finding and calling plays. A lot of toss plays, a lot of option to the perimeter. Duke has done a good job of taking on that #1 option, and that's to hand the ball through the middle to the B-back. But a good play there with the wide toss to pick up 6 yards.
2nd and 4 for Georgia Tech. 2nd best in the conference in time of possession. They have done that this afternoon, but have not been able to harvest any points. Cottrell, 1st down and more. Trying to drive toward midfield against this Duke defense for 8 yards for Nathan Cottrell from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Again, the perimeter run is what coach is featuring, that wide toss play. Nobody runs it better than Georgia Tech does. They outflank the defense. The toss is so wide by the time the running back catches it. In this case, Cottrell, he's already outflanked the defense. Get 1 block on the perimeter, and you're going to step forward for a nice gain. So Paul Johnson, who does a great job on the sideline of kind of sorting out how you're trying to take away plays, and finds a way to exploit you.
Georgia Tech has scored 66 and 63 points in their last 2 games, respectively. Wins against Bowling Green and at Louisville. Yet to score today. Marshall decides to just take a seat as Rump forced him to the grass.
Yeah, and I thought Jordan Mason, the pitchback, did not keep relationship. Let's take a look. Marshall wants to pitch the ball, but look how far behind Mason is, the pitchback. He can't pitch it back to him. So Marshall's got to eat the football. Look how late Mason is getting out there. Marshall senses that. He says, I better eat the football and minimize the damage right here. But a good job by Duke to take away the option.
Keep in mind, Marshall had 557 yards rushing coming into this game. Among quarterbacks, best in the conference. He's -4. This pass is a short hop near the 40. Brad Stewart extending for it. Incomplete.
Forcing Taquan Marshall to throw the football. And just not a natural motion for him. Watching him warm up, he pushes the ball a little bit more than throws it. And that one kind of squirted out of his hand and was short of Stewart, who was available. Stewart was there. They're singling up on the outside. They're challenging Georgia Tech. We're going to crowd the box with 9 players. Can you throw the ball to the perimeter? And so far, Georgia Tech has not been able to do that.
Marshall only has 69 passing attempts all season. 2 for 4 on 3rd down of the game for Georgia Tech. 3rd and long. Marshall flips it down there, the 30. Stewart had it deflect up in the air and couldn't come down with it. So close. Marquise Waters back there for Duke.
Waters has an interception on the year, and this ball takes such a long time to get there. Sprint out. Waters watching all the way, number 10, just keeps his eyes on the quarterback, closes. And really, Taquan Marshall is fortunate he overthrew the pass. Had the ball been on target, Marquise Waters comes up with it. Good job by Brad Stewart to kind of become the defender down there, bat the ball away.
So Harvin into punt. Ramming will be deep. You recall Ramming allowed a punt to bounce at the 15 and go into the end zone. This time, he's not going anywhere near that football, which bounces inside the 20. And we've got a couple of players who get tangled up near the 9-yard line. That punt was 35 yards. There was no return. It's getting a little feisty between Duke and Georgia Tech. Duke's won 3 of the last 4 meetings, but Georgia Tech has dominated Duke here in Atlanta. All right, time for the Ram Power Play. It's brought to you by the all-new 2019 Ram 1500. We head to South Florida for one of the best rivalries in college football. Florida State and Miami. Noles led 27-7, but the Canes storming back.
Well, give N'Kosi Perry credit for hanging in there because it did not look good. Down 27-7. The defense rises up with a couple of takeaways, and Perry leads his team back for a 1-point win in one of the great rivalries in college football. Miami beats Florida State.
Brevin Jordan had the catch on the play. Miami wins 28-27. The Ram power play. Pressure on Jones. Able to get rid of it. Tipped up in the air. It is Lamont Simmons. Interception. Lamont Simmons as Henri St. Amour had the pressure on Jones. It's a pick for the Jackets.
Well, we heard Larisha Harris talk about Henri St. Amour. Heard Paul Johnson yesterday talk about number 94. He's in the backfield right now, and a really bad decision by Daniel Jones, the junior quarterback. How about the athletic play by Lamont Simmons on the back end to come up with a huge takeaway here late in the first half for Georgia Tech.
That is now 7 straight games with an interception for Georgia Tech. They've got 9 on the season day. They only had 6 all of last year.
It's one thing to have an opportunity. It's another one to complete. An excellent job by Lamont Simmons to squeeze that football.
Second turnover of the game for Duke. They only had 3 coming into the afternoon, but their defense is standing tall. Victor Demukaji and his teammates at a loss of 1.
Well, Duke's just challenging Georgia Tech. Make a play in the pass game because we're going to crowd. Look how many Duke Blue Devils are around the football. Just so many guys. There's no place for Taquan Marshall to go. There's no place to pitch it because they've got the pitch taken away. Taquan Marshall's going to have to make a couple plays in the passing game to loosen this Duke defense up.
Taquan Marshall ran for 175 yards last Friday at Louisville in that victory. Wants to throw. Marshall looking for the end zone. It is caught in the end zone by Carter, but a flag is out.
They're going to call offensive pass interference on Carter here. Just push Blackwell to the ground. Anytime you see the arms extend for the receiver, I'll be surprised if this is not offensive PI.
There's no foul for offensive pass interference.
Trey Blake gives us the official word. Malachi Carter wins the battle with Josh Blackwell.
I'm not sure why you throw the flag if you don't see anything. Why even throw the flag? It was good hand fighting. Certainly Blackwell looks back, and I don't know, Tom. I played the offensive side, so I always try to err on the offensive side. That looks like offensive pass interference to me.
It is a 32-yard TD reception from Malachi Carter from Taquan Marshall. His 3rd touchdown pass of the season. An extra point away from tying this game for the Yellow Jackets. Wesley Wells sends it through. TD pass from Marshall, tied at 7. And we're back after this word from Duke and Georgia Tech.
put the ball in harm's way late in the half, but Georgia Tech took advantage of it. And Taquan, I just got to say it, Taquan Marshall's got to make some plays in the passing game to try to loosen up Duke defensively. Oh, nothing better than to go over the top for a big touchdown throw.
Marshall had not been doing it on the ground, Dave. 10 carries, -3 yards, but the throw, the TD from 32 yards, he's 3 of 6 for 45 yards passing in the game. Jackson up near the 9. Progress impeded and stopped near the 35-yard line for Deion Jackson on the return for the Duke Blue Devils. And again, there's some feistiness. Some helmets have been lost. Maybe some punches thrown. Yellow flags after the 21-yard return from Deion Jackson. And Dave, this is about the 3rd or 4th incident we have seen after the whistle.
Well, this one's going to cost some guys their opportunity to finish the game. And one of them is Victor Alexander. Looked like number 9, one of the starting linebackers. I'd be surprised he's not thrown out of the game.
That's Brandon Feimster, too, Dave, number 30, being restrained and taken off the field by his teammates.
Well, Feimster had his helmet pulled off at some point in the scrum, but Alexander is taking haymakers at Feimster with his helmet off, and that's where you saw a number of the flags come in. Victor Alexander will be very fortunate to stay in the game here. It's a starting linebacker for Georgia Tech.
No question, this is a spirited rivalry between Duke and Georgia Tech, and the Yellow Jackets and Blue Devils get into it here, Dave.
You're looking for number 9 for Georgia Tech. There it is, right there in the middle of your screen. Now, if we keep it rolling now, watch the haymakers come from number 9. There's 1, 2. You might be able to make a case for both of them being eliminated from the game. You can see a Georgia Tech coach in there trying to pull him out of there. See there, they were double teaming Victor Alexander.
After the play, there's fouls on both teams. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct on the receiving team, number 40. That's his first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct on the kicking team, number 9. That is a flagrant foul. He is disqualified. It will be first down. Those penalties offset.
That's what I thought. Victor Alexander's been thrown out of the game, and that hurts Georgia Tech maybe more than it does Duke. Brandon Feimster is a guy that is a backup and plays special teams. He's going to play some on defense, but Victor Alexander is a starting linebacker.
All right, let's go to our Charlotte studios. Check in with Tommy and Katie. See Coach of the Year, Tommy Bowden. Here in Atlanta, Dave, we've got tempers running high as Georgia Tech and Duke.
Well, Victor Alexander on his way to the locker room. His day is done before halftime. As I mentioned, that's a starting linebacker. So now Bruce Jordan Swilling will have to check in at linebacker. Remember, David Curry already down for this defense with an injury. So Quez Jackson has had to check in. So you've got 2 of your second-team linebackers on the field.
And just to clarify, Dave, number 30, Brandon Feimster, was issued the personal foul, his first unsportsmanlike of the game. He is still available for Duke, number 30, Feimster. Duke has the football. Jackson is the running back, Jones the quarterback. Out of Charlotte Latin High School. Poise in the pocket. Ball is free. They get to Jones. The ball came out.
Henry St. Amour again coming on the pressure.
Duke has recovered, Dave.
Boy, they're having a tough time finding a way to block number 94. Look at the spin move to the inside or just to the outside. They're able to win and get to the quarterback and ball out. And boy, Duke's fortunate to get that one out. You see the ball still laying on the ground.
Loss of 4 on the play. Last time they knocked it away from Jones. Georgia Tech recovered the fumble. They converted that previous interception into points. Now Jones wants to go deep down the sideline. Off the fingertips of Aaron Young.
Oh, what a well-thrown ball here by Daniel Jones. Stands in the pocket with everything disintegrating around him. A little double move a little bit by Aaron Young. Look where the ball is. Right on the money from Daniel Jones. And Young can't squeeze it.
Young, who already has 4 catches in our game to equal his total coming into the afternoon, but couldn't haul that one in. 3rd and 6 on 3rd down for the Blue Devils. Just 8 seconds to go in the quarter, Dave.
Georgia Tech's job is to keep everything in front of them. If Daniel Jones can get the ball to one of his playmakers.
3rd and 14. Jones steps up. 45-yard line. Incomplete. Looking for Daniel Helm, and just 2 seconds on the game clock here in the second quarter.
Well, Tom, give both these defensive fronts a ton of credit now. Duke has controlled the line of scrimmage defensively against Georgia Tech, and all of a sudden, Henry St. Lamour has become a monster. They can't get him blocked, forcing Daniel Jones into some really poor throws.
St. Amour also has a sack in the game, Dave. Came earlier in this quarter for Georgia Tech.
Duke doesn't look like they're even going to risk a punt. They're just going to kneel down here, try to eat up this final 2 seconds of the half.
Georgia Tech has taken a timeout. 2 seconds on the game clock. They scored on their previous possession. 32-yard pass play. Taquan Marshall found Malachi Carter, the freshman. Now let's test your knowledge with today's Aflac game trivia. Aflac! Name the Georgia Tech player who was picked highest in the NFL draft. Back with the answer in a moment. That is our Aflac game trivia.
Really going to get? Wow. Are we going to give the entire half to think about it, Tom?
I guess so.
Okay.
We'll be back with the Aflac game trivia answer.
Can I give a little clue?
Sure.
Okay.
It's your show.
think Transformer.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I'll leave you.
Think Transformer. Very good. Got it. These students are thinking about homecoming. 69 degrees and perfect weather for college football. And it appears that we will probably go to the locker rooms all tied at 7.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones is going to take a step back, make sure it's 0-0 on the clock, and kneel down here. And both these offenses are going to have to go in at halftime, Tom, and regroup.
Yeah, it was a Deion Jackson 12-yard TD run in the first quarter for Duke. And then moments ago, a 32-yard TD pass, Marshall to Carter, the 3rd TD pass of the season for Taquan Marshall. Daniel Jones and the Blue Devils to the locker room, all knotted up with Georgia Tech 7-all as we go down to Larisha.
Hey, Coach, your offense found the end zone late in the second quarter. Your evaluation of your offense?
We're not playing very well on offense. We're making a lot of missed assignments and creating negative plays. After the first drive, the defense is playing really good. We got to get the offense cranked up. We get the ball first, start the second half.
7 interceptions, straight games. How do you evaluate your defense?
After the first series, they're playing well.
Well, as you see, a very chippy game here, getting very, very intense. A momentum swing for the...
That's the way his team normally plays, and a little bit hot under the collar. But you see how the two teams, Tom, here handle that in the second half as far as the chippiness. I think that both are trying to scrap out a coastal win here.
Duke 129 total yards. Georgia Tech 122 in the first half. And this is Thomas. And he gets met near the 15. There is a flag out on the play. Thrown well away from the point of contact. A flag on the play. 15 yards on the return for Wanye Thomas.
During the return, holding, return team number 13. That's a 10-yard foul from the from the end of the kick. It'll be first down.
Time for our principal financial second half game plan with Dave Archer.
Well, Duke, they need to find Henry St. Lamour and get a hat on him. Try to get him shut down. 4 tackles and 2 sacks for the big defensive end for Georgia Tech. And for Duke and for Georgia Tech offensively, they've got to find a way to get something positive on first down. Paul Johnson's going to test some things with their blocking schemes, but I think there's some room to be made on the outside. Maybe throw the ball on first down against the soft corners. Look how far off Duke plays on the corner. I think you got some quick game on the outside you can take advantage of. 45
total passing yards in the first half for Georgia Tech as they try to go up the middle. Worst starting field position of the game and 2 yards for Mason.
Boy, I've been so impressed with the way Duke has handled the first part of the triple option, and that's the B-back. And that's Jordan Mason, that's Jerry Howard. They've taken that away on the inside. 2 for 8 on third down. Just have not handled the third down situation. They've held the ball better than Duke, but just have not been able to get good positive yards.
Marshall through a hole, second level, first down and much more. Beyond the 35, Taquan Marshall as Waters had to tackle. 26 yards on the gallop.
Now this is what Paul Johnson does now. He tries to find out who are you trying to play the quarterback with. And they get him blocked on the inside. see Joe Giles Harris, number 44, pinned to the inside, and there's the running room for Taquan Marshall. So if Paul has figured out what you're trying to do with your quarterback, you got a long day coming.
Longest rush of the game on the previous play by
Ball's
Georgia
out.
Tech and Marshall. You saw the Duke players trying to dig it out of there. Mason was the tackler. Drew Jordan with the initial contact. Duke thinks it has the football. Let's unravel this pile. So Georgia Tech just ripped off a 26-yard run by Marshall. Officials still talking with themselves, the players.
They're standing there holding the ball.
Georgia Tech ball, Dave.
It looked like Dylan Singleton emerged from the pile with the ball in his hands. Let's take a look at this. The ball, they're trying to, the first part of the triple option, looked like Taquan Marshall wanted to pull it. Now, Jordan Mason's not on the ground. You see the ball come loose. I'm not sure how Duke didn't end up with it. They had a number of Duke Blue Devils right around the football.
Looked like Michael Carter, number 26, had a chance. There is a player down for Duke. It's Derek Tangelo. He's sophomore, so they will attend to Tangelo, and we'll come back in a moment.
Drenched today?
Sun-drenched and splashed today. Marshall pitch. Mason avoids a tackler at the 45, and he's out near the marker, maybe a little bit short for Mason, as Dylan Singleton had the tackle and 9 yards on the run.
Yeah, good play that time by Quay Searcy, who's one of those guys that blocks on the perimeter. Did a good job of getting the block outside. And just pitching the ball to the B-back, using the B-back as the option back that time.
Opening moments of the third quarter, tied at 7. Tom Wormy, Dave Archer, the former Atlanta Falcons and Iowa State standout at quarterback, along with Larisha Harris on the sidelines. 2 of 8 on third down, and that's going to be a first down by Clinton Lynch as he runs into Joe Giles Harris, 4 yards, and the chains are rolling for Georgia Tech.
Well, and Paul Johnson not beating his head against the wall here, and that wall is that Duke defense to the inside. He's getting the ball to the outside. Joe Giles Harris, the big-time linebacker, scraping from the inside to the outside, but he can't get there in time before Lynch has the first down. So where Georgia Tech has found room is to that perimeter against this solid Duke defense.
McSwain has come in for Tangelo on the defensive front for Duke. Flags are out and both teams are pointing at one another.
Well, this will be interesting because Ben Humphries is in the line before Georgia Tech jumps.
False start. Offense.
But he didn't make contact.
5-yard penalty. First down.
So Ben Humphries, the linebacker, gets in a little bit early. But Ivan Meyer is going to come off, and that's going to irritate Coach Johnson. He's going to take him out of the game. How many times do you see a tackle taken out of the game because you jumped offside? And that's what you get here. There's such a premium on having success on first down. And that makes it breaks it 1st and 15.
First penalty of the game against the Yellow Jackets. First man up the middle is Jordan Mason, the redshirt freshman from Gallatin, Tennessee. He's got 3 yards. Keep in mind, Dave, what Georgia Tech has done over its 2 previous games. They scored 129 points and ran for 914 yards. They have been limited by the Duke defensive unit today as they possess the ball at their own 47.
Now, and Paul Johnson knew that. He told us, he said, hey, this is going to be much tougher sledding this week. I've got a lot of respect for how they play defense at Duke, and it's been tough over the last 3 years playing against the Blue Devils.
Marshall angles past midfield. And he'll add a few more yards to that total for Georgia Tech on the ground as Feimster made the tackle after 6 yards.
Here's the big timer, Joe Giles Harris, tracking the ball, trying to filter through, sift through the blockers, then find the ball carrier. Not many that do it better than that guy does. He had 14 tackles a year ago, and he's nearing double-digit tackles today.
Third down situation. Georgia Tech 3 of 9. Third and 6 for the Yellow Jackets. Marshall. Pass is too high at the 40. Feimster defending. Brad Stewart was the receiver.
Well, the corner squats on the route. I mean, double move is in the offing. Let's take a look at this little quick. This is quick action. So 3-step drop. Really not very good footwork by Taquan Marshall. And then I'm not even sure he saw what was going on the outside. Had he seen it, I don't think he throws it.
So on 4th and 6 with the ball on the Duke side of the 50, Georgia Tech is sending out the punting unit. TJ ramming deep at his own 10. Presley Harvin. All ACC selection last season, Harvin. Sky-high punt.
That's a mistake by Ramming. He's got to catch the ball. That is a mistake. You got to come up and catch it.
Second time that Ramming has made a questionable decision. And Duke from its own 5-yard line. Jones hands off. Deion Jackson trying to provide some breathing room. Out toward the 9-yard line. He got 4 as we go to Charlotte.
This update is brought to you by Hardee's. Let's head back up to Chestnut Hill, where another scary situation for BC, Coach.
Nolan Borgenson for Boston College blocks the punt. Travis Levy recovers it in the end zone for a Boston College touchdown.
Since then, BC's added a field goal, 24-20 right now, guys.
Katie, thank you. Back to the live action, and Deion Jackson on the carry for 7 yards and a first down.
Good job of coming off the ball here up front by Duke. Create some opportunities for Deion Jackson. That's the best running room he's had, Tom, since maybe the first series.
Dave Duke had 129 yards total offense in the first half, just 17 yards in that second quarter from scrimmage for the Blue Devils. Jones, the throw at the 20. Ball is on the turf after the hit. Daniel Helm made the catch. Charlie Thomas is standing in the end zone with a football.
Well, Tariq Carpenter is the guy that's going to deliver this blow. Little bootleg to the outside. Carpenter, the safety, number 29, is going to come up and deliver the shot. And it looked like he still had control of the ball when his back hit the ground. Take a look at it again. They're certainly going to look at it. Let's see if this ball is jarred loose. Big hit by Tariq Carpenter. It looks like he's still got control of the ball as he hits the ground. A little scoop and score there by Thomas.
The play is under review, Dave. The call on the field.
Yeah, that looks like to me he's still got the ball cradled in his arms, Tom. I'm trying to see if it's jarred loose. It's a big hit by Carpenter. The rear end on the ground. Ball looks like it's still tucked under his arm, and then the ball comes out. So I don't think there's anything there definitive. Tom, what do we need?
You must have indisputable video evidence to overturn the call, which on the field is a completed pass to Daniel Helm, hit by Carpenter.
Down by contact.
Yes, it was Thomas who scooped up the football.
Big hit by Carpenter there, Tom. Yeah, I think that'll say incomplete there. They'll say they're gonna call it. He caught the football. Can't be incomplete. It's got to be either down or a fumble, one of the two. I think he looked like he was down.
If it stands, it would be a 2-yard gain. Tariq Carpenter, the sophomore, came in to make the play defensively. So the review continues. Trey Blake will have the official word.
After review, the receiver did not complete the catch. Therefore, it is an incomplete pass. It will be second down. Game clock operator, please reset the game clock to 9:34.
So as we try to sort this out, the indications from the officials were initially, Dave, it was a complete pass. They were trying to see if it was a fumble. Now it's been ruled an incomplete pass based on the evidence.
I don't know about that one either.
We move forward. 9:34 to go in the third.
Let's move forward, Tom. That was a good call.
2nd and 10. That pass is complete. Ramming goes up the middle of the field. And for TJ Ramming, the senior from Powder Springs, Georgia, Dave, that is his first catch of the game, and it's for 12 yards.
Yeah, and he's one of the best there is in getting him the ball in space. He returns punts for a reason, and that's just kind of what they're going to set it up. They're just going to set up a jailbreak screen. So you get the lineman out in front. So now create essentially a punt to return for TJ Ramey, and you get the first down. So a nice execution there. Georgia Tech was playing off in coverage, and you get one of your best playmakers the football in space.
Yeah, he just went over 2,300 career receiving yards and his 199th career catch. Jones extending the play, now tucking it and stepping out of bounds, shy of the 40-yard line for Daniel Jones.
A good decision by Jones. Very good coverage down the field by Georgia Tech, but the guy responsible for the bootleg is not home. Nobody out there. You see, Brant Mitchell, for some reason, slow plays it and then ultimately tries to push him out of bounds. Trying to cover that tight end. It was that little check down route. Good decision by Jones.
Yeah, he got 10 on that previous run, Dave, after -6 in the first half on the ground for Jones. He's going to keep it again and dive forward. Can't get to the 45-yard line. He got 5 yards. Brant Mitchell, number 51 on the tackle.
And you wonder where Zach Roper, offensive coordinator, is as far as the reluctance to run Daniel Jones. We know Jones suffered a collarbone injury that made him miss a few games. They say he's back to full strength. He had 91 yards rushing in this game a year ago. And it looks like they're going to feature him a little bit more running the ball.
2nd and 5 for Duke. Pass play.
Good read by Daniel Jones. Got a corner fire coming. Lamont Simmons coming on the corner blitz. Good quick read on the RPO. Pull it on the run. Throw the pass. Make it 3rd and short. That's good quarterback play right there. Had some success with Daniel Jones now running the ball. Let's see if they stay with some of that.
3rd and 1. Jones will hand it off on a first down. Deion Jackson will blast through the middle of the line for 4 yards and another first down for Duke.
Boy, good hard running by Jackson here. Georgia Tech is there. He just steps through the tackle of Jordan Swilling. Bruce Jordan Swilling was right there to fill the hole. Nate Woody can't be pleased with that. He had a guy in position.
Jones just tosses it to a vacant area as he was being pressured.
I'm not sure where. Was there a receiver in the area here?
Charlie Thomas bearing down on Jones.
Let's take a look at the pressure from Thomas, the freshman, number 45. Going to come clean through the middle. Daniel Jones going to throw the ball away. The crowd here was a little upset. They didn't see a receiver in the area. So was the Georgia Tech sideline. Thomas has played well today. Forced into duty because some of the things that have gone on from an injury standpoint. Had one player ejected, Victor Alexander, senior linebacker.
Deion Jackson forced backward after a modest gain as we go down to the sidelines. And Larisha.
Well, when we spoke to defensive coordinator Nate Woody, he told us the #1 concern regarding Duke was their football IQ. They move fast, he told us. Efficiency from their offensive side. Woody says their efficiency must match in order to handle Duke.
Well, you know that Coach Cutcliffe's team is going to be dialed in from an intelligence standpoint of what's going on. Now can they execute?
3rd and 8. 4 of 8 on 3rd down. Jones won't get it away at midfield. That pocket collapses around Jones. Kyle Surge Henderson, the first man at the quarterback. Mitchell there also.
Boy, really impressed with the way Georgia Tech has been able to get pressure. This is a Georgia Tech team that came in with 10 sacks on the year, so it really hadn't been prolific at getting to the quarterback. But they got 4 sacks today in the game. Excellent job of providing some punch to this defense.
Brad Stewart waits at his 8-yard line. Austin Parker on the punt. Stewart, fair catch near the 9-yard line. Georgia Tech 1st and 10 after a 41. Back in Atlanta, once again, our Aflac game trivia. The question was, name the Georgia Tech player who was picked highest in the NFL draft. Now, we've given you an extended amount of time and a clue to get the response to this one, and it is Calvin Johnson, the number 2 in 2007.
He was known as
Megatron.
There you go.
Attention, all Autobots.
Calvin was, a phenomenal player, made some phenomenal plays here as a Yellow Jacket, and, of course, was arguably the best receiver in the game while he played with the Detroit Lions.
Will be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame right here in Atlanta later this year.
If I'm not mistaken, he holds the record for the most yards receiving in a season.
Offense, number 56. The penalty is half the distance to the goal, first down.
Well, once again, a first down penalty, which I'm sure Paul Johnson's overjoyed about. He told us when we talked to him yesterday, he said if we eliminate penalties and turnovers, we have a chance to beat anybody. And today they have not done that.
By the way, Calvin Johnson, almost 3,000 career receiving yards. That is tops in Georgia Tech football history. Jerry Howard, the sophomore from Rock Hill, South Carolina, on the run. Short gain for Howard.
Now Georgia Tech now behind the chains again, and they're going to have to ask Taquan Marshall to try to make a throw, and he has not done that overly well today. Got soft corners on the outside.
Field position has not been favorable for Georgia Tech here in the third quarter, starting on their own 8 and 9 yard lines. Georgia Tech injury report on the sidelines with Larisha.
Well, we now know that linebacker David Curry and redshirt sophomore wide receiver Stephen Dolphus are both out. They both suffered upper body injuries during the first half. We know Curry went out in the first quarter. Dolphus went out in the second quarter rather. Again, they both suffered upper body injuries, and they are out for this game.
And Larisha, Duke has a man down now. That is Edgar Serenord.
Remember, Tom, Derek Tangelo left the game earlier, the other defensive tackle. So a battle of attrition in the middle right now, as it looks like Serenord reaching at that right ankle.
Now, if he's unable to go, Axel Niembwe, sophomore, number 1, would come in for him. Trevor McSwain has already come in for Derek Tangelo. So Serenord will need some assistance to leave the playing surface.
Far left of your screen, right over here, is Serenord. See what happens to him as he get rolled up. Looked like he might have gotten his legs pinned between one of his own players and a Georgia Tech blocker. Well, I mean, I don't think you can have enough admiration for these big guys that play in the middle, and you don't like that he can't put any pressure on it. These guys just, the battle up front and guys playing at your legs, and you see it's just been a tough road for both offenses. Neither has gotten any kind of foothold. Both under 200 yards of offense today. Who would have thought that, Tom? We talked about all the yards Georgia Tech came in with. This is a Duke offense that have been operating at an extremely high level. Coming in and averaging 400 yards a game on offense. Neither have been able to get going.
Yeah, Georgia Tech averages 373 yards on the ground, best in the conference and nation. 3 of 10 on third down. That's a floater for Stewart, who goes up and takes it away at the 30-yard line.
It's a double move. A little stop and go by Stewart on the outside. See the little pump fake right there by Taquan Marshall, and not the greatest mechanics in the world. Set your feet, throw it, but he did enough to get Stewart the football, and a big third down conversion with in the shadow of your own goalpost.
21 yards on the pass play. Marshall to Stewart. Marshall does have a touchdown pass in that game. In this game, rather, came late in the second quarter.
Well, this is really going to irritate Coach Johnson if this wasn't a drawn-off scenario, because that's what the offensive line is claiming. He jumped in, and that's what made him come off. But this kind of a reach.
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
All right, let's go down to Larisha for Gatorade. Heard around the cooler.
Well, when we spoke to head coach Cutt, he told us that his team was going to face challenges because of injuries, and how they prepared this week. Their theme was to react, prepare, and respond. You can't cry. You have to prepare and move forward, and now the team is really doing that, especially after suffering that last injury.
Yeah, nobody's going to feel sorry for you when you have guys banged up, and that's why you pick guys to be on your team. It's the next guy up mentality, and certainly that's how Duke's going to treat it.
Coach Cutcliffe took him to a bowl game a season ago, going 7-6 and winning the Quick Lane Bowl against Northern Illinois. But here on this play, it's 6 yards and a first down for Georgia Tech.
I will say, though, Tom, as much as you like to try to rotate your defensive front, guys that start for a reason. And the guys that are coming in second are coming in for a reason. So when you lose your two interior guys, as they have so far with Tangelo and Serenord down, it's a step down. A tad step down maybe, but it's a step down for Duke.
From the 43 for Georgia Tech, it's Jerry Howard, the sophomore. 5 yards for Howard.
But now all of a sudden now Georgia Tech finding something going in that middle. We talked about Jahazel Lee checking in at center. They had started Kenny Cooper at center. Kenny had come off injury. He started all the games at center a year ago for Georgia Tech. And they were excited to have him back. But Jahazel Lee has started the first 6 games. And this offense has been humming the last 2 weeks. They've gone back to Lee at center.
Ball came out at the end of the play as Howard was on the run. And now there's whistles stopping the play. The ball came out to the 45-yard line.
Ruling him down, Tom.
Officials chatting about it. Trey Blake, our referee this afternoon in the white hat. Howard was the runner.
Let's see if we can take a look. The officials can't figure it out. Let's see if we can take a look.
The ruling on the field is that the runner was down prior to losing possession.
No,
the play is a first down.
He's not even close to being down. The ball was out well before he's down. Watch the ball fly up in the air right here. Ball's in the air. There's no way he's on the ground.
Well, every play is reviewed.
Yeah, they're going to take a look at this again, Tom. That's not even close to being down.
The review officials take a look at every single play, and it appears they may have buzzed down to the officials on the field. It is under review.
Watch for the football to fly up out of Howard's hands right here.
Now, number 1.
There's the ball in the air. He's nowhere near being on the ground.
Yep, that's Niembwe, who just came into the game for Serenord, number 1 in gray and blue. He's in on the play. Number 44, Joe Giles Harris, is there as well. And that is Howard falling to the turf, and the ball.
Yeah, that's not even close. That's Duke's football.
Chris Rumpf came up with it for Duke.
Now, this will not please Coach Johnson either. He's talked about penalties and turnovers. They overcame the penalty, Tom, deep in their own end with the throw from Marshall to Stewart. But this looks like certainly it's a fumble based on what we're seeing, that Jerry Howard turned the ball over.
Now, again, you've heard me say you must have indisputable video evidence. And the call on the field is down by contact. Yeah. So if the call is upheld, Georgia Tech maintains possession of the ball. If it is not, Dave, if the evidence exists, Duke would take possession based on what we saw.
The evidence exists. If Duke doesn't get the ball, this will be highway robbery.
Well, the other thing is that Rumpf picked up the ball and they whistled the play dead.
As long as you have to have a clear recovery. Okay, the ball's out. If the ball just laid there and nobody recovered it, Georgia Tech would retain the football. But because there was a quick and clear recovery by Duke, it's their football.
And even beyond that, Dave, had the whistle not blown, Rumpf may have been able to advance that ball on the fumble recovery also.
Well, he could have. It's ruled dead. Yes. But it's Duke's football. I mean, it's clearly the ball's out. And I'm not sure. Duke's even got their offense already on the field, so they know what the scenario is. Now what the officials trying to figure out is what the time is, where's the ball supposed to be.
Now, Duke went the last 2 games without a turnover.
After review, the runner lost possession prior to being down, and there was immediate recovery by Duke. It'll be Duke's ball, 1st and 10 at the 43-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 2:47.
That was the key part about it, is Duke recovered it immediately. They knew the ball was out. There was a clear and immediate recovery by Duke. It's their football. So it's a good job by the replay officials getting it right. And now Duke's got an opportunity here with a short field opportunity. And let's see, a lot of offensive coordinators, Tom, in this situation like to take a shot.
Yep, Georgia Tech had gone the last 2+ games without a turnover. So they're first in 3 games now. Just moments ago on a fumble by Howard. Ramming, accelerating, and pushed out of bounds.
Well, you see the great speed there, ramming on the outside. The second time we've seen Duke get ramming the football in space, and that's where he's as good as it is. Does a great job of getting to the outside. 200 career receptions now for TJ Ramming. Came in the #4 receiver in receptions in Duke history, and that's a pretty star-studded history as far as receivers go.
Both of those catches for Ramming here in the third quarter as Jackson is the runner.
Boy, both these offenses, Tom, have really struggled on first down, and it's really created a problem for the play callers, Zach Roper and Paul Johnson for Georgia Tech, trying to dial up something to get them back to the medium situation on third down.
2nd and 12.
How good's that kid played?
Charlie Thomas, the freshman from Thomasville, Georgia.
We talked about Rumpf on the other side. He's had an outstanding day for Duke, and Charlie Thomas has been his counterpart. He's made a ton of plays on the other side for Georgia Tech. Leaps in the air and bats it down and forces 3rd and long.
4 of 9 on third down of the game for Duke. Jones, just enough time to get it away. Middle of the field to the end zone. Touchdown Duke, and it's TJ Ramming, 48 yards from Daniel Jones.
The local kid comes up big. He hadn't seen the football the whole game. And all of a sudden, Ramming gets involved, running the post route right down through the middle. Oliver, the safety's going to fall down. Number 40 goes to the ground, but Ramming with great speed just up the road, McEachern High School in Powder Springs, Georgia. And you can bet he's got a ton of family here. What a big play for the senior.
Daniel Jones with his 6th TD pass of the season. And it goes 48 yards into the capable hands of TJ Ramming, who has come alive in the second half. 3 catches. Now he's got 201 for his career, and he's in the end zone to the dismay of Georgia Tech defensive coordinator Nate Woody.
You saw the pressure. Jones has done a good job. You see, there's Oliver 40 fell down. But Ramming had already beat him on the post route. They were playing man coverage in the back end. It's an excellent read by Daniel Jones. Oliver falls to the ground, but not sure he was going to stay with TJ Ramming anyway, with great speed. In the slot area, you see right up here, here's where the safety's going to fall down. Ramming running the post, and Oliver's in trouble already. As soon as he allowed Ramming to eat up his cushion and run up on him without getting out of his back pedal, it was over.
So again, Georgia Tech had not had a turnover in over 2.5 games, but Ramming goes to the end zone. And we look at the ACC standings brought to you by PNC. Make today the day.
Yeah, everybody's still alive in the Coastal. Obviously, Duke's sitting down there at 0-1, trying to get back to even par. Georgia Tech could do the same thing. They can get back to 2-2 today. So nothing even close to being settled in the Coastal.
Miami represented the Coastal a season ago in the title game in Charlotte against the Clemson Tigers last year.
And that won't please Coach Cutcliffe. Coach Cutcliffe is a big believer in hitting yardage.
The ball we spotted at the 35-yard line. First down.
Most of that comes in your special teams. You won't like that. Here's your Atlantic standings. Clemson and NC State going to run head-on into each other next week.
By the way, Dave, the Tigers, the only team in ACC history to start 6-0 in 4 straight seasons. They're the 3-time defending champs in the ACC.
Well, remember, it was Dave Dorn's team that had them on the ropes 2 years ago in Memorial Stadium, and somehow NC State missed a field goal, and Deshaun Watson found a way to win that football game, and they went on to have a magical year at Clemson.
Boston College has a 24-20 lead in the third quarter as they take on Louisville. That's a game we did last year, and it came down to a late BC field goal as time expired to beat the Cardinals. Did the ball come out again? The Duke players say they have it.
Yeah, I think Taquan Marshall looked like he might have been down. This is going to rule out.
It is Duke ball.
The rule on the field is the fumble recovered by the defense.
I thought Taquan Marshall was on the ground on this.
Tangelo had the recovery for Duke.
Yeah, I think we're going to see. Let's see Taquan Marshall here. Let's see if he's still got hold of the football. Kind of waving it around a little bit. Let's see, is that knee down?
Right knee.
Boy, that ball looks like it may be coming out. Hard to tell from right there. Remember, ruled a fumble on the field, Tom.
You must have the evidence to overturn the call. It's under review. And again, as Dave just mentioned, fumble on the field. Last time Duke got a fumble from Georgia Tech. They went into the end zone. Jones to Ramming on the TD pass.
Well, it looks initially like it starts to come out. It looks like Taquan might have re-gripped the football, but I don't think there's anything definitive there. Let's see if we can take a look from this angle. Wow, that is close. It looks like the ball's coming out right now, and his knee's not quite on the ground.
That's Victor Demukagi, who is making the tackle of Marshall and then recovered.
I don't think there's anything definitive there. It's going to flip it over. You could make a case for it being a fumble, or that Taquan may have tried to squeeze it, but it looks like the ball's being punched loose.
Replay officials earning their keep today. Joe Ryder is our replay official, and he is in communication with the command center in Greensboro, North Carolina as well.
Boy, just sloppy taking care of the football. Georgia Tech lost 5 fumbles coming into today. We're +4 in the giveaway takeaway, but I think this is going to be another turnover, and Duke's going to get another short field opportunity.
So it would be the second turnover of the game for Georgia Tech. Duke has fumbled and thrown an interception as well.
Now, good job of relentless push from the backside by Duke. Demukagi comes in on that backside, Tom, and did a really good job. You know, that relentless pressure that you normally see from Duke's defense showing up right there.
Dave, both teams have scored 7 points off of those turnovers, 2 by each team, if this is upheld on the review.
On as tough sledding as it has been for Georgia Tech to throw the ball, they can ill afford to go down 2 scores in this game.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
Yeah, it's just a bang-bang play when the ball's jarred loose. It looks like Taquan Marshall's knee is just barely off of the ground. So in a day when it's been really tough on the offense, is a great opportunity for Duke here to take control of the football game.
And moments ago, they scored off of a Georgia Tech fumble on the long TD pass from Daniel Jones to TJ Ramming. 48 yards on that play. Excellent field position inside the 35 of Georgia Tech. They're going to run on first down with Jackson. And Jackson just slams into the secondary of Georgia Tech down near the 25-yard line. Bruce Jordan swilling on the stop.
I love the change of direction of this kid. He does a little jump cut right there. Steps into the secondary. Took a big hit on the back end, but good hard running.
Up tempo for Duke, still on the ground. Jackson again. Should be enough for a first down, and it will be. Fresh set of downs for Duke as the chains readjust.
One thing about it, Duke's got a number of players from Georgia. They do a really good job of recruiting the area, all of Georgia, but in particular the city of Atlanta, that's in the schools around. There's a lot of great high school football here, and Deion Jackson, one of those. We saw Ramming score. He's a kid from Atlanta as well, so paying dividends with the local kids.
Jones has an open man, ramming it to 5, diving for the pylon, lost the ball in midair. Officials are saying he's out of bounds near the 2-yard line.
Not a very smart play by TJ Ramming. Got to take what you got there, and got to understand. Ramming's a little guy now. He's not going to lay out 3 or 4 yards to get in the end zone. Let's see if he holds the football at the back end of this. Yeah, he's already out of bounds. So
it looked like the right foot, Dave, when he came down with a catch.
Yeah, he's out of bounds.
Stepped out of bounds.
It's just not a smart play, though. He's a senior. Remember, Daniel Jones makes a bad decision on an interception. That's a veteran player. And now you got another veteran player, TJ Ramming here. They understand the situation. Let's see the foot.
Right there on the right foot.
Yeah, the foot's out of bounds before the ball ever comes out of his hands. But
and the left foot as well.
Yeah, he's got no chance of laying out and getting the end zone here.
Now that is in bounds. Take a look at the right foot, Dave. I believe it is in bounds when he takes that first step with the right foot after the catch.
Yeah, I think he secures the catch. He's in bounds there. He secures the catch, and he's out of bounds. So the ball's still in his hand. So
how about the replay work by our technical crew, doing an outstanding job here in Atlanta.
Shots right on top of it.
To illustrate that replay and to see what we've got here.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that this is going to remain Duke football inside the Georgia Tech 5.
So much so that there is no announcement to this point. Here's our Red Zone, brought to you by CPI Security, the official security partner of the ACC.
Duke came in and converting 65% of the time down here. Touchdowns. We'd like to up that by 1 right here.
Trying to cash in yet another turnover by Georgia Tech as Jackson is tackled by Brandon Adams.
Brandon Adams, you run into that guy. That guy's got 3 moons rotating around him. He's got his own solar system. 6'2", 325 pounds, monster in the middle is Brandon Adams. Nice play there.
Jones looking for the end zone, throws a low pass and caught for the touchdown. Davis Copenhaver.
Well, Duke does such a good job down here using their tight ends. When you get down close, all of their tight ends are outstanding receivers, and Copenhaver came in with 3 touchdowns on the year. What I want you to watch for is number 10, Campbell's back is turned to Jones. He understands that, so he can let it go. Defender can't make the play if he's not looking at you. And so he shoots it in low. Copenhaver does a good job of going down and squeezing it for his 4th touchdown reception of the year.
Officially a 1-yard touchdown pass. Daniel Jones and Davis Copenhaver. And the second TD of the 3rd quarter thrown by Daniel Jones, up to 7 for the season now. And so on successive Georgia Tech fumbles, Duke turns it into 14 points.
Can't turn the football over, certainly can't provide short field opportunities, and David Cutcliffe's team has taken advantage. Veteran quarterback has settled in, made some key throws. One to Ramming for a touchdown, another one to Ramming to get it inside the 5, and then finding Copenhaver. And now Taquan Marshall going to have to pick it up on the offensive side for Georgia Tech.
2 for 3 in the red zone now for Duke with a couple of TDs. Exclusive tickets to the 2018 Dr. Pepper ACC Football Championship game on sale now. Purchase a 4-pack and receive 4 $5 Bojangles gift cards and 4 ACC hats. Reserve your 4-pack today. Also enter to win a luxury suite for 10 at the ACC.com/Sweet Life. Make your plans, Dave Archer.
It's become an event
for Charlotte, North Carolina, December 1st.
Charlotte's done a great job of hosting that event. That's an event up there, not just a game, but a full weekend of fun surrounding the ACC championship.
13th championship game, 8th time in Charlotte. Thomas on the return, driven backwards, lost the football near the 6-yard line. Thomas fumbles. It is Duke football.
Well, the freshman Thomas just does not take care of the football. You know, you got a lot of people flying around it, and boy, ball security, that's got to be #1 priority. Gets a big hit right there. Now he's in trouble. A lot of Duke Blue Devils around the football. Got to secure the ball. Ball's got to be #1 priority. Just does not take care of the ball, and Duke right there to take advantage of another mistake.
Brandon Hill covered it, Dave. And now from the 6-yard line, 1st and goal for Daniel Jones and the Blue Devils. 3 straight fumbles from Georgia Tech. To the end zone, back corner.
Well,
caught,
perfect
Jonathan Lloyd.
That's a perfect throw, Tom. When you throw fade, you got 2 places to throw it. Generally, it's a back shoulder, or if your receiver stacks the corner, meaning he gets beyond the corner, then as a quarterback, your job is to take the receiver to the pylon. And that's exactly what Daniel Jones does. Watch where this throw is by Daniel Jones. Towards the pylon, no place for Lamont Simmons to find a ball. Good job by Jones to recognize what kind of leverage his receiver Lloyd had on the corner, and then perfect distribution of the ball.
3rd TD pass of the quarter for Daniel Jones. Colin Wareham, extra point.
Turnovers are a killer, and both teams trying to secure some, but it's been Duke that has taken advantage of Georgia Tech's mistakes, and they've controlled the game.
Now.
21 unanswered points by the Duke Blue Devils. 3 scores in 1:49. And mostly because of 3 fumbles in succession by Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, which did not score in the second half of last year's game in Durham. And that was a win, 43-20 for Duke. Did not allow a point in the second half, and Daniel Jones had 2 TD passes. Last year, he had 3 in the third quarter, and now we start the fourth. Fair catch was made by Thomas. Our third quarter stats brought to you by the North Carolina Education Lottery. Celebrating 12 years and over $5.8 billion raised for education. To learn more, visit nclottery.com.
Yeah, it's the turnovers are the key. Paul Johnson talked about if they don't turn the football over, they got a chance. Well, they've turned the ball over 3 times here in the second half. It's led to 14 points. Actually, yeah, 14 points, and really has turned the game in Duke's favor now. Now Georgia Tech is going to have to come out of their normal run the ball down your throat scenario. They got to throw the ball.
Marshall down the seam. Stewart on the run. Can't catch up with it. Let's go down to Larisha. Update on Edgar Serenord.
Well, I just found out that Edgar Serenord, the defensive tackle, he is out for the remainder of the game with a lower body injury. We saw him go down in the third quarter. Again, he has been ruled out for the remainder of this game.
That's tough. He really is being a big part of why they've been able to control Georgia Tech's running attack. Like he's grasping that right ankle. Hopefully he'll be okay for future games.
Marshall going to keep it. Dropped near the 32 or 3, lost his helmet at the end of the play, got 8 yards as Singleton made the stop. And again, a little bit of a conversation after the end of the play.
Yeah, and part of this is brought on by, Singleton is going to lift the legs up in the air. And he makes a good play on Taquan Marshall in open field, and then at the end wants to pull his legs up off the ground. So that's going to create a reaction out of Taquan Marshall. Watch the back end of his play. Makes a really nice tackle. As Dylan Singleton, now he's going to lift his legs up in the air and flip them out. And so Marshall kicks at him, and that's how all that stuff goes.
Singleton, the leading tackler on the team, coming into this afternoon.
Oliver in at quarterback.
Tosses it out. Clinton Lynch turns the corner, and it looks like he's got a first down as he steps out of bounds beyond the 35-yard line. That's where he needed to get, and they mark him at the 37.
Looked like Ben Humphreys, the outstanding linebacker for Duke, came up a little bit lame at the end of that. On the sideline. Good run by Clinton Lynch. Big play capability. There's Humphreys. Was a little wounded as he got up, but a good play. He was out there trying to make that tackle in the perimeter on Lynch, and Lynch was able to turn the corner and extend the drive.
Don't forget, we're going to the Dome next week. ACC Game of the Week here on Raycom Sports. North Carolina at Syracuse. They last met in 2003, and the visitor has won every game. It'll be the 5th all-time needed. Marshall back into the game and has to heave it into his bench area.
Take a look at this play. Ben Humphreys plays off the block. Or now here he comes. Oh yeah, he got clipped by his own guy. It kind of fell awkwardly, it looked like, on his shoulder. Arm or shoulder, kind of reaching out and clutching that. It looked like his shoulder there. Talk about a guy, you don't want to lose anybody, but talk about linebackers, these 2 linebackers, Joe Giles Harris and Ben Humphreys, kind of the heartbeat of the defense.
2nd and 10 for Georgia Tech. They're going up the middle with Jordan Mason, redshirt freshman. 6 yards on that play. Humphreys was out for a moment, but quickly back in as Leonard Johnson played a down in place of Humphreys.
He didn't play in this game a year ago, Tom. You go back 2 years ago against Georgia Tech, and he was a sophomore. 10 tackles and a sack. So Ben Humphreys played in this game before and played at a high level like he is today.
3rd and 4 for the Yellow Jackets. Very short gain for Jordan Mason. It's going to bring up 4th down and about 1.5 yards.
Georgia Tech's got no choice. They've got to go for this now. 4th down. Been tough sledding too. Boy, Duke has really made it tough on the interior. They've done a nice job of rotating guys in that defensive middle. And you throw those two linebackers in behind. They've made it tough to get these. These are normal automatics for Georgia Tech. It has not been that today.
0 for 2 on 4th down in the game for Georgia Tech. They desperately need this one. Need 1.5 yards. Marshall trying to move it forward. The spot appears to be favorable as Drew Jordan threw Marshall back, but forward progress.
Just not getting a push up front, Tom. Let's take a look at it. Here's the battle in the trenches, and look at Duke stand its ground. Now, looks like Marshall just does get enough. But a good job by Duke to really create a stalemate. That's what you want defensively. You can't get penetration. You get a stalemate up front. That's in your favor defensively, and they've gotten a lot of those today.
Couple things working in this game, Dave. Georgia Tech has won 10 of the last 11 home games against Duke, but trailing now. Marshall to the air, down the sideline, jumping up for it and pulling it in. Quay Searcy.
Boy, good job of identifying Quay Searcy running down the sideline on a wheel route. Just going to release and then get up the sideline. It's probably the best throw Taquan Marshall's made today. Good job by Quay Searcy to gear down and high point the football. And a big play in a passing game. They're going to need a number of those here with the final 12 minutes, final 11.5 minutes clicking off the clock.
25-yard chunk for Searcy on the pass from Marshall. Marshall tucks it. Couple of moves. Looking for the 20 and can't get there. Open field tackle drops Marshall as we go to Charlotte.
Well, let's head back up to BC where Louisville's defense is coming up big, Coach.
Boston College with a chance to extend the lead, give the ball to David Bailey. 4th and 1, stopped short by the interior of the Louisville defense.
Eagles still up 24-20 nearing the end of the 3rd quarter. Tom, Dave, back to you.
That's probably good news for Brian Van Gorder, the defensive coordinator. You see Taquan Marshall coming off the field, so Tobias Oliver will check back in. It was a hard tackle by McDuffie, the corner, on Marshall's, forced him out of the game.
Oliver, number 8 in for Georgia Tech. Trying to make a decision. Hung on to it near the 20. Ben Humphreys, tackle.
Well, Tobias Oliver played here locally, too. I mean, he's another one of those local guys. Played at Northside. Warner Robins, outstanding football program there. Ran for over 1,500, threw for almost 1,500 his senior year. Led his team to a state championship as a sophomore. And this is a guy that Paul Johnson, we started to ask him about Oliver, and he says one of the biggest surprises is how Oliver's adapted to what they're doing offensively. Unbalanced line to the wide side here.
This is Oliver, escapes one tackle, spins back, trying to keep his feet into the 18, and that should be enough for a first down. It is a first down for Oliver.
Good hard running by Tobias Oliver. Was inserted in the game a few weeks ago against South Florida when Taquan Marshall got a little banged up and ran extremely well, and then ran for 100 yards last week in relief of Taquan Marshall after they had that game in hand against Louisville.
Here's our Red Zone, brought to you by CPI Security, the official security partner of the ACC.
Yeah, James Graham has checked in at quarterback. Oliver left banged up. Graham, the freshman.
So Graham will try to run it.
Now, Tom Graham from Fitzgerald, Georgia, has not played. But this is a kid, you talk about a kid they're high on now. This kid can really throw the football well. Now, Oliver's going to check back in. But a good run by Graham to get 4 yards on the play. And he's a guy that they think has a chance to compete for this job with Oliver next year as Taquan Marshall moves on.
Oliver ran for 103 yards, as Dave mentioned, in that victory against Louisville. In fact, he and Taquan Marshall over 100 yards rushing. This to the left side. That's going to be a first down at about the 6 or 7 for Oliver. Joe Giles Harris on the tackle, 8 yards.
Good quick read by Oliver. He's going to keep it right now. He's not pitching the ball. He had that idea right now and hits it ahead. He came in averaging almost 8 yards a carry in his opportunities. He's had 2 big, long touchdown runs so far this year.
Does have 7 rushing touchdowns on the season. Tied for 3rd in the ACC. Right side.
And Oliver is if he can carry it, he's not pitching it. It's one of those scenarios where he likes to carry it.
It's a Duke player down, Dave, about the 2-yard line.
That's a guy that you don't want anybody down if you're Duke, but you certainly don't want that guy down. Joe Giles Harris, a guy that we featured in our Steel Tools to the Game. Big time player now. This kid going to scrape across to see what happens to him here. Not sure whether he just kind of gets his arm pinned underneath, trying to make a tackle on Oliver.
He's played 31 games in a Duke uniform, all starts for Joe Giles Harris, the junior from Nyack, New York.
Yeah, he may have just fallen awkwardly on top of Oliver there. I think he's okay. Daquan Marshall, who's come out of the tent after being looked at by the medical staff here at Georgia Tech. He looks a little worse for the wear, though, doesn't he? Limping. Looks like Duke has hit him too much.
Howard on 2nd and goal, steps into the end zone for the Yellow Jackets.
Well, you ate about 4 minutes and so many seconds off the clock, but it was a good drive by Georgia Tech. Kind of their way. Mitchell mixed in a couple of throws, but really their running game controlled the line of scrimmage. And a good job by 3 different quarterbacks to come in the game for Georgia Tech to find a way to put a touchdown on the board.
3rd rushing touchdown of the season for Jerry Howard, the sophomore from Rock Hill, South Carolina. Something didn't look right there. As Wells was in to attempt the extra point.
Offsides, defense with contact. Number 33. The penalty is half the distance to the goal. Replay the try.
.751 to go in the 4th. Clock just as big an enemy to Georgia Tech as Duke is at this point. Although they have dominated the time of possession in our game, but the turnovers in the 3rd quarter costing Georgia Tech 21 points in succession by Duke. The extra point is good.
Well, the Jackets have made a ton of mistakes today, but they're trying to claw their way back